Okay, so a few people have asked me how I did my Grinch stencil on the Cricut. It's not the one that's on the screen. This is the one I'm just using for a demonstration. I will put up a picture of the one that I did. There it is. Excuse the coloured card, I just used what I had to hand. And so first thing I did was measure the window, and there's a picture of the finished one. So that's the size of my window that I'm going to be using for this demonstration. Next thing I did was I pulled in my image. And I just made sure that it was central in the area. You can use the align tools to make sure it's dead center, but I've just eyeballed it for now. Next thing we did, we had to work out how many A4 sheets of paper it's going to take to fit that window. This window, it's going to take 9 sheets of paper, so I put them all in earlier and I aligned everything up. I'll just run through how I aligned them all equally. So if you look, there's an overlap where each piece sticks to the one next to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move some of these about and then just run through quickly how I put them together. When the computer starts doing as it's supposed to. Didn't want to move the blue one, but no problem, I can just drag it back. There we go. So I'm just going to jumble these up a little bit. There we go, and then I'll just run through quickly how I aligned these up so the spaces was equal. So you click on the one that you want to align first. I normally start top left. So you click there, click align, and then I aligned it with the top, and then I aligned it with the left hand side, puts it right in the corner. Next one, I'm going to move to the right, top right. So I moved it to the right, and then I'm going to move it up. That puts it right in that corner. And then the middle one, I just aligned with the center, and then I aligned it with the top. And then all the spaces between them, the overlap, they're all the same. And the process is just the same. Going down the left side, down the right side, or across the bottom. So I'll just show you going to the left. So we align the one so it's dead center, and then we move it left. And then the last one, there we go. I'm going to move it left and then down, and that puts it, everything's equal. So I'm just going to drag these 4 back in. I think that'll do just for the purposes of this demonstration. So next thing we do is we drag in our image that we want to make the stencil of. Again, you can use the align tools, or for this I'm just going to eyeball so the gaps all the way around the edge, so it's got like a little border. Okay, so I'm going to start with changing the colour of the image, just so I can easily spot it when it's on the right hand side. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'm going to start with top left. So you click that one, then you click on your image. So them both highlighted on the right. There you go. And go down to the bottom, and I tried all these, subtract, into exclude, and it just made everything disappear, and that's not what we need. So I'll just bring that back. There we go. I'm going to select the two that we need, and what I did was I used the slice tool, and what that does is it slices through everything below the stencil, including the stencil, gets sliced. Everywhere there's a line, it will cut. Let me just hide this blue square because we don't need it. Okay, so there's all the pieces down the right hand side. If I just drag the stencil out, boom, you can see it's been cut. And then you've got the piece that's been cut. And then you've got the initial sheet and the piece that's been cut out. So that they are your 4 pieces that's on the right hand side. So I'll just put all these back. Okay, now if we go over to the right hand side, you can see the red one and the grey one. The grey one is normally the 3rd one down. So what we need to do is highlight that one and then delete it. Okay, so that one's gone. Oops, didn't want to move that piece. Just highlight the stencil, move that. Boom. So as you can see, the stencil is still in 2 pieces. So what we need to do is, see, there's the piece that was cut out. The piece we deleted has gone. So we need to highlight. If the computer starts working, highlight the top one and then the one below it. That's the 2 pieces of your stencil, and then we need to weld them 2 back together. Okay, so now your stencil is back in 1 piece, and you're left with the 1 sheet with the piece cut out. Okay, so what we do next is we do the same for all the other ones. But what I like to do is I like to rename each piece. So that one is left 1 because it's at the top. The next one down will be left 2. And then the middle, it'll be like middle 1 for the top, middle 2 for the middle, and so on and so forth. So we need to Bum 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 dee dum dum dum. So we've done the next one down. So there's your 4 pieces again. And the third one down is the one we delete. And then the top 2, which is your stencil, we just highlight them 2, go back down, and we weld them together. And there you go, you got your 2 pieces of your stencil so far. So we'll just bang them 2 back together. Bum bum. You can do that with Control and Z. So the third one down, then we just rename this one. So that's left 2. Okay, let's go back. Let's go and highlight the bottom left. Highlight stencil and slice. And there's your 4 pieces again on the right. Third one down, it's normally the third one down every time. So we'll get rid of it. Top 2, weld them back together. And then we'll rename the one that I've just cut. If you're doing a little stencil like this, it's not too bad. But the last one I did was like 27 sheets. So as they went through the cutter, I labelled them as I was doing the weeding, just so I didn't have a huge jigsaw puzzle to put together at the end. So there you go, there's your third piece done. Okay, we'll just do this top one. Down to slice. He says. Computer's on a go slow. So there we go, there's the 4 pieces. Third one down is the one we delete. And then the top 2 weld back together, and you just go through this process with every single piece. So the bigger your stencil, the more time it's going to take, but the finished results are worth it. And like I said, this took me a lot of trial and error trying to put everything together. So as you can see, the main stencil is starting to take shape. And now I'm going to show you how to put a bridge in. If you've never done bridges before, these are really important, because when just ignore them bits in the middle, because it wasn't a very clean image. So if we cut this out and then pull it off the board, it's going to come off in 3 pieces. So we need to join all them pieces together. So the way I do it is we go over to shapes, and then I'll just use a square one. We'll just drag that over to our piece. If we go up to the size at the top, click the little padlock to unlock it, and then we can just drag the pieces to where we need them. Okay, so I've just duplicated it because we need one for the top and one for the side. So you just pull it for as long as you need it. You can make these bridges as thick or as thin as you like. Once your stencil is put together at the end, you can either leave them in as extra support or cut them out. But if you leave them in, you will need to fill in the gap where the bridge was on your finished product. Okay, let me just drag this bottom one. I mean, you could weld or unite them one at a time, but I like to do it just all at once so you get all your pieces in. Try and get them lined up with the edge if possible. Okay, then we highlight all of it. We go down. Now you can use weld or unite. They both do the same job. And there you go. All three pieces are joined together. Just drag it back into your image. You can do this once you've done everything. You can do this just going through. Because we just put some bridges in, we need to rename that piece again. So I'll just rename that L1. Yeah, so once we're done, we can just hide everything that we don't need. So when it comes time to cutting, we have to go through and click on the little eye just to close or hide each piece, just so that our Cricut knows which piece it's cutting. So let me just finish. Click. There we go. So all we have to do now is click make and then cut it out. I just used thin card for this project. You guys can use whatever you like to do it. So yeah, when it's cut, you have to close the eye on it and then go down to the next one, open it. But what I started to do was, when I went down to the second one, I moved the piece up to the top corner. But you don't need to, you can just leave it where it is. There was a little tiny piece just there. I wouldn't worry about them pieces, because once you've got the other piece overlapping, that'll be alright, so you haven't got to really bridge them tiny little pieces. So there we go, third one, we're just going to check. Now we need a bridge there, because there's a little bit at the top, so we need something there, or it's just going to flap about. So let me just do that quickly. Drag my square down, unlock it, okay, you can line it up with the corner and then just drag it down and get it the size that you want. Highlight it and then weld. And there you go. And then because we've done some work on that piece, we have to rename it again. There we go, just labelled that L3. Okay. So there we go, there we have it. You can align all these up if you want, so you just go down and you move it to the top, so you got L1, L2, L3, and everything's all in sequence. But there was me showing that I used to move every piece to the top corner to cut it, but then I found out a little bit later on that you don't need to. You could leave it anywhere on the screen, and when you click make, it automatically brings it up to the corner of the cutting board. So like I said, trial and error, a lot of patience. Okay guys, thanks for watching.